Hi guys, we'll be looking at the core modules of Fedena in this webinar. So the core modules are the basic functionality that Fedena provides you. So we'll be looking at how we can do the settings in Fedena. So that would be doing the general settings, creating courses and batches, and doing the other additional settings. Then we'll look into admissions. So that would be the student admissions, how we can do admissions for the students. Then we'll look at HR module, which is related to management of employees. We'll see how we can set up timetable. We'll see how we can mark attendance for the students. We'll see examination module and how we can manage incomes and expenses for our institute. Then we'll see how we can manage all the users that we've created inside Fedena. So we'll see into all these briefly today. So let's start by doing the settings. Now for the first time, I should log in as an administrator. So I'll use the username as admin and password as admin123. So I'll go to my Fedena. And in the login screen, I'll enter the username as admin, password as admin123. Once you've logged in, and if you wish to change the password, click on top right, go to admin user, and here you can change the password. Mention the old password, which is admin123 by default, and mention the new password. Now let's go back to the dashboard. So this first screen that you see after you log in is known as dashboard for the administrator. And as an administrator, I get to see some information here. So as per the data that I've entered inside Fedena, I can check the students that are absent today, the birthdays, employees on leave, relieved employees, incomes and expenses, news, and many other information which can be managed by going to Manage Dashlet. So this is where I can check the options that I want to see as information on my dashboard. Once I have done this setting, now let's see what all information Fedena provides you. So you will see academics to be one of the tab, where you will get academics related functionality. So the attendance of the student, the academic calendar, examination, timetable, remarks, and so on. Then you will see collaboration, which is related to creation of events, which can be normal events or holidays or news. Then you will see data and reports, which will give you general reports regarding your courses, batches, employee subject details, examination details, and so on. Under administration, you will see finance, which is fees, incomes, and expenses, human resource, which is managing of employees and their pay slips and their leaves, and then general settings. This is where we are going to do the general settings, create courses, batches, roll numbers, subjects, and so on. And then management of users can be done from here. So editing their profile, changing their passwords, and editing privileges for employees can be done from here. We also have internal messaging system. This is the system that is used for internal communication within Fedena. So here I can create an internal message and shoot it to other users of Fedena. So here I can select the department of employees that I want to share the message with, mention the subject and the message and send it. When I log in as these employees, I can check the same in my inbox. And I also get an option to reply to this message. There are few automatic SMSs that are also sent, which are related to posts, events, discipline issues, and forms. Now, as an administrator, let's see the first thing that I should be doing, which is the settings. So I'll find settings under administration. So I'll go to administration and settings. Here I'll do the general settings for the first time. This is where I tell Fedena about my institute. So I'll enter all these details. Now the type of institute can be higher education or K-12. So if you have courses, you can select higher education. So you will see the term course throughout Fedena. If you have classes, then you can select K-12 as the institution type. So you will see the term class to be appearing. K-12 is generally kindergarten to class 12. Higher education would be degree or diploma courses. So you can select accordingly here and the nomenclature will change throughout Fedena as per your selection here. Attendance type can be daily, which is once in a day, or subject wise. So based on the timetable that you have set, the subject teacher will be able to mark the students absent. So if you want that, you can select subject wise. Start day of the week can be selected from here. You can select the date format. Date separator can be selected. So this is how it will be viewed inside of Fedena reports. You can select the financial year start date and the end date. So this is the fiscal year for your institution. Now for the incomes that are generated in Fedena, you are going to give a receipt to the end user. That receipt will have a receipt number. So you can mention the first receipt number here and it will be auto incremented for the subsequent receipts that you generate. It can be for the fees, for example. Then you can select the language, time zone, country and the currency type. So this is as per the location of your institute. You can select the precision count. So the number of digits after decimal that should appear in the finance reports. You can upload the logo and you can select the grading systems. So all these grading systems are supported by Fedena. You can select the one that is applicable to you. If your institute uses normal grading system, that means you work with percentages and averages. In that case, do not select any grading system. So that would mean normal grading system. So the final result of the examination will be calculated based on averages and percentages of all the subjects for that exam. If you want the student admission number and employee number to be auto incremented as and when you are creating it from the previous admission number or employee number. In that case, you can check these options. So for each student, there is an admission number that Fedena assigns. Similarly, for each employee, there is an employee number. These are used to identify students and employees uniquely inside Fedena. And these will be in turn used by students and employees to log in into their Fedena. Now there is a news module in Fedena. And that module is used to publish some information to all the users of Fedena. And anyone will be able to comment on that news that is published by the administrator. Now, if you want the comments to be moderated before they are shown to any other users, which means you want to control the visibility of the comments, in that case, you can check this option. You can also enable sibling that would relate more than one student inside Fedena as brothers and sisters. And for the parent of that student, he will get a single login to his children. So instead of having multiple logins for each of his child, the parent will have a single login. And inside that login, he'll be able to check all the profile details of his children. Then you can enable password change at first time login. So for the first time, the students and the employees will get username and password. Username will be same as their admission number for the students, employee number for the employees. And password would be student admission number followed by 123. And for the employee number followed by 123. So since this is a default password, you can enable this option so that they get an option to change their password when they log in their Fedena for the first time. You can also enable roll number for the students. So admission number is a unique number that is given to each student and that uniquely identifies a student inside Fedena. Using admission number, the students will be able to log in. Using roll number, the students will be able to view their reports. So that means that roll number is used uniquely to identify a student within their own batch. So more than a batch can have same roll number for two different students. So you can assign roll number as well as admission number to the student. Admission number is mandatory. Roll number is optional for the students. So if you want to assign roll number for the students inside their batch, you can check this option. So once we have done all these general settings, we can save it. And once we have saved it, we'll be going to the other settings, which is creation of courses and batches. So this is where I can create course and batch. Now for K-12 Institute, courses or classes would be pre-nursery, upper kindergarten, lower kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2 till grade 12. Or another nomenclature that schools use can be class 1, class 2, LKG, UKG, KG1, KG2 and so on. Another nomenclature would be standard 1, standard 2 and so on. So all these are known as courses inside Fedena. For a higher education institute, the courses would be the diploma courses. For example, Diploma in Theatre Semester 1 is a course. Diploma in Theatre Semester 2 is another course. So all these are courses for higher education, and the below ones, 7th onwards, are courses for K-12 Institute. To create a course, click on New. So here it will ask you for the name of the course. For example, I can give the name to be grade 1. Now in case you are a K-12 institute, do not give anything in section name. Leave it blank. You can give the code to be any short form of this course. For example, G1. Now grading system can be selected from here. So if you have enabled more than one grading system, all those grading systems will appear here. For example, GPA, CCE, CWA and so on. But for a course, at a time, you can select only one grading system that course is following. Since I have enabled only normal grading system, so I can select only this here. You can change the settings in general settings. If you want the students to be able to select their own subject, you can enable elective selection from here. Now batch is a group of students which are studying this course. For example, I can create a batch called A 2015. So A is kind of a section of students who are studying grade 1. And then I can mention the academic year of this batch for this course by selecting the dates from here. So this is how you create a course for a K-12 institute. If you're a higher education institute, you can give the name of the course as the degree name. Section can be the name of the semester. You can give any code which has to be uniquely defined for that course. You can select the grading system. You can enable elective selection, and the initial batch details would be the group of students who are studying semester 1 for this course. So again, you can give it a name like A 2015, any meaningful name. This duration can be the semester duration, which is here, or any other duration. So like this, if you have to create semester 2, you can again click on new course, give the same course name, but change the section name to semester 2. You can give a different code, for example, CSE semester 2, and the other details. So like this, you can multiply create courses for a higher education institute. So I've already created some courses here, both for higher education and K-12 institute. Once I've created courses, I can create subjects inside that course. So I'll select the batch. So you will see the name of the batch would be the code of the course. For example, I have given G1 to be the code for grade 1, followed by the actual name of the batch. For example, I had given A 2015. In this case, I had given A 2015-16. So I'll select this, and now I'll get an option to add normal subjects as well as electives. Now, normal subjects are mandatory subjects which all the students of this batch must study. Elective subjects are optional subjects. So the students can choose to study from either of these subjects or both the subjects. To create a normal subject, click on this option. Give the name of the normal subject. Give some code and how many periods of this subject will happen in a week. So based on the timetable of this batch that you are going to set, you can mention the maximum weekly classes. For example, for mathematics, 8 classes or 8 periods will happen in a week. Now, if there is a subject that you want to show in the timetable, but do not want to conduct examination for it, you can check this option of no exam. So this is how you can add normal subjects. To add elective subjects, you have to create a group first. So here you can give the name of the group. You can give the last date to choose elective. So if you have enabled that option of students being able to select their electives, then you will see this option that will come up, which is last date for the students to be able to choose their elective. This is by default 1 week from now. You can extend it or make it a shorter duration. Once you have done this, you can add subjects into this elective. So here, I can click on add subject to this elective group. So this is the elective name that I've given, languages, and I can add subjects. In the same way, I've added normal subject. So the same wizard will open and I can enter the optional subject details here. And then as an administrator, I can assign students to these subjects. So if you've already added students, when you click on assign student, it will give you the list of students, and the students who are going to study this subject, you can click on assign for those students. So this is how you add subjects. Then you can add student categories. So the way you want to differentiate the students inside a batch, and this would also help you set up the fee structure differently for such kind of category students. For example, to create a category, I'll just give a name like I've already created staff child as a category and I can save it. Now in the admission form, it will ask me the category of the student and I can assign that student either of these categories. And later on in the fees section, I can set up fee structure for a particular category. Then I can set up additional details for admission of the student. If you have already seen the admission form in Fedena, it has a fixed number of fields. Now, if you want to take some more information from the student as per your institute, you can add additional fields here. For example, I also want to take the height information of the student on his admission. So here I'll enter the name of the field as height. So we are creating fields like height, weight, allergies and so on. So you can create multiple fields here and they will appear in the admission form. You can also set up SMS. Now to set up SMS, you must do SMS settings as per given by the SMS provider in your accounts panel. Once you have done those settings, you can click on SMS settings, and for the first time if you see, this is how it will look like. So it means currently you are not using any SMS provider to send SMS. Now let's say you have done the settings and you want to start using the SMS provider service. You can check this and update this. And then you can select for what all events you want to send automatic SMS. For example, when the student is admitted, you want to send automatic SMS. Similarly, for when the fee is submitted, you want to send automatic SMS. So for the first 5 options that you see here, automatic SMS is sent if you have enabled or checked these options from here. And these automatic SMS is sent to the last 3 users. It means if you have checked this option, send SMS to parents, parents are going to get these SMSs. If you have checked the other option to students, students are going to get these SMSs and also employees. So you can control who will get automatic SMS by checking the last 3 options. You can also send manual SMSs by going to send SMS to students, batch of students, all the SMSs to all the users of Fedena. You can also check the SMS log, so the messages and whether they were sent successfully or not. You can also manage roll number of the student. So as I said, roll number is a unique number that you give to the student within their own batch. So here you can click on the batch and roll number status for the first time would be not set. To set the roll number status, you can click here on set roll numbers. And here all the students, admitted students will come. So you should set up the roll numbers only after you have admitted the students. Since I've already admitted the students, I get the list of students here for this batch. And then you can reset the roll number. So all the students will be numbered. Besides their admission number, they will also have roll number, which will be unique number 1, 2, 3 and so on. So they will be numbered here. So roll number will appear in their reports, which can be related to fees. Also, it will help you take their attendance. So you just have to call out the roll number and you can mark the attendance. It will help you do the marks entry. So the students can be sorted by the roll number and you can enter their marks. So once we've done all these settings, now let's see how we can admit student. To admit student, we are going to go to academics, students, student admission. So this is where I'll see the admission form. So this admission form has a fixed number of fields, and the fields which are marked with asterisk must be filled. So admission number can be given by this institute to the student. So it can be alphanumeric. It can also have special characters which are hyphen and underscore. For example, I am giving the admission number to be S104. You can select the admission date from here, the first name of the student. I'm filling in the mandatory fields. You can also check the category of the student. So these three are the categories that we created. We can put the student in one of the categories, and later on we can set up different fees for this category. I can enter the contact details for this student, and now I can put the student in a course and in a batch. Here as well, you can assign roll number to the student, or you can skip this option right now and later on manage the roll number like the way that I just showed you. So automatically when you reset roll number for the batch, this student will get a roll number. You can upload the photo of the user from here. Then you can set the sibling, which is any other student inside Fedena. So if you've already admitted the other student, just search that student by the name or the admission number. If this is the first student that you're admitting who does not have a sibling, you can skip this and enter the parent details for this student. So when you enter the parent details, you are creating the login for the parent for this student. So you can enter all these details. You can also enter more than one guardian. So you'll again get the same form with you can fill in and enter that guardian details. One of the guardian will be able to log in inside Fedena. So you can select that guardian from here. Then you can enter the previous institute educational details. So if the student is coming from grade 3 of school A to grade 4 of your school, so you can enter the grade 3 details here. Like this. You can mention the total marks. You can also add individual subject marks. So this is the previous institute educational details for that student. Now we had created some additional details. So now you can enter these details here for that student. And now the student profile is created. Now the student can log in using the admission number, which is unique for every user in Fedena. So I log in using this admission number that I have given to the student, and the password would be admission number followed by 123. And the student can change his password. And here we can check what all the student can see in his profile. So let's see that. He can check the academics. So that is his examination reports, his attendance reports. He can check the academic calendar. So this is as per set by the Fedena administrator. He can check the events, the examination, holidays, and the fees due details. He can check his profile. So he can view his profile. Now in case there is any issue with any data, he can mail or he can send an internal message to the administrator. He can check his timetable. So if we've done the timetable setting, he'll be able to check the timetable for the particular duration. He'll also be able to view the news as published by the administrator. So this is how the login of the student will look like. The parent will also have the same login and he'll be able to view the details of the student. So let's see the parent login. For the parent, username is automatically generated. So I am in the profile of the student and I can check the immediate contact details. So I log in as this parent now. So this is the username and the password would be the username followed by 123. And again for this user, he is prompted to change his password. And you can see the view for this parent is similar as it was for the student. So if this parent has more than one child, which are related as siblings, they'll be listed here. And he can switch between the profiles of the students. So this is how you can admit students using the admission form. Now let's see the other module, which is human resource. So we'll find that under administration. The first step before you start admitting employees is doing the settings. So we need to categorize the employees into some categories. For example, we can create a category called teaching staff. So we can put all the teachers inside this category. We can give some prefix and create it. So like this, I can multiply create different kind of categories which are already listed here. Now inside the category, there will be positions. For example, inside teaching staff, I can have teachers, professors, junior teacher, senior teacher, and so on. So that we call as positions. So we'll go to add employee position. Select the category in which we want to create the position, give the name of the position like this and create it. So like this, you can multiply create many positions inside a category. And the third important setting is the department of the employee. So we can create different departments. It can be based on the subjects or it can be generic departments. For example, academics, sports, and so on. So these three settings, which is category, position, and department, are mandatorily to be done for the employees. The next four settings are optional. So let's understand them. Grade of the employee is the authority level of the employee in the institute. So you can create levels. For example, you can create a level and call it A level. You can give it a priority 1. So it means the topmost priority. And all the employees that you are going to put in grade A can take maximum 4 periods in a day and 24 periods in a week. So like this, I've created a grade. I can create another level, which is B level, where I can say the priority to be lesser than A level, and B grade employees can take 5 periods in a day and 30 periods in a week. So this setting of creating grades will help us check the number of slots that are available or overtaken by the employees when we set up their teacher timetable. So we can check who all employees can take more slots or are taking the right number of slots or are overtaking the slots. So that means when I admit an employee, I can put him inside a grade and that will decide his work allotment. The next setting is the payroll category. So based on the earnings and deductions, I can create categories that will appear in the payslip of the employee. For example, I'll create a category and give it a name basic pay. And since it is an independent category, I will not fill in anything for percentage and percentage off. And since it is an earning, I will not be checking this option. So like this, I've created this earning and other earnings which can be dependent like this. So I've given the percentage and percentage off to be the component that I just created. And in the same way, I can create a deduction by checking this option of is deduction. So once you've done these settings, they will appear separately for earnings and deductions. And when we admit an employee, we can enter his basic pay and the other independent components. And the dependent components will automatically be populated. Then we can add the bank details for the employees. So this is the extra fields for the bank. So like we have created additional fields for the student for his profile details. In the same way, we are creating additional field related to the bank information for the employee. And the last one is additional details. So the same way we did for the student, additional details for the profile information of the employee. So I'm creating an additional field called passport number, and the value against this will be asked when I admit the employee. So once we've done these settings, let's go to employee management. This is where we can admit the employee. So here you will see a form which we have to fill in for the employee. An employee number is again alphanumeric, and it can have underscore and hyphen to be the special characters. So I am giving an employee number E37 for this employee. You can put in the joining date, name of the employee. I can select the gender. The department, category and position of this employee are important here. So I'll select the department of the employee. So this is what I've already created. Category of the employee. So let's say he's a teacher. And based on the category, the position will be populated here. I can put him in a grade as well to denote the number of periods he should be taking. And the other fields can also be filled in. Then it will ask for the contact details, addresses for this employee. And then the bank details. So these are the fields that we created. Additional details. And now this is the privileges for this employee. So the privileges is what this employee will be able to do when he logs in his Fedena. So as an administrator, I get to see a lot of links that appear here. So we can restrict the links that should be appearing for the employee by checking or unchecking these options. For example, this employee should be able to admit the students. So I can give him this option under student management. He should also be able to view the profile of student. So I can give him student view option. So like this, based on what this employee should be able to do inside his Fedena, you can give him those options from here. Now you can assign this employee a manager. So a manager is another employee that you have already filled in inside Fedena. Now in case you do not have already admitted an employee, you can skip this step and allot the manager at a later stage. So it means that when you are admitting the employees, it is suggested that you start from the highest level and come down. So right now I already have an employee that I am assigning as a manager to this employee. Now these are the earnings and deductions that I created in the settings. So I'll enter the value against the basic pay, and the other components will automatically fill up since they were dependent component. Now the profile of this employee gets created. I can log in using the employee number, and the password would be employee number followed by 123. Now this employee will be able to do all this in his Fedena. So he can check the academic calendar, he can apply for leaves, he can view his profile, and he can also do student admission and view the student details. So this option is coming for this employee only because we have given him the privilege. So based on the privileges, the links will appear for the employees when they log in. Under collaboration, he can check the news. He can also use the internal messaging system to contact the parents of the students that he is teaching or his own department employees. So I'm logging in back as the administrator. Now let's go to employee management, and after we have admitted all the employees, we can associate the employees with the subjects. So here I'll select the batch, select the subject, and for the first time you will see no teacher will be assigned for this subject. To assign a teacher, select the department and click on assign. So you can multiply assign teachers for a particular subject. So it can be more than one teacher for a subject in a batch. So like this, you have to assign teacher for all the subjects of a batch. So this is the pre-setting that you must do so that you will be able to set up timetable at the later stage. So once we've done these settings, let's see how we can manage the leaves of the employees. So the first step is to set up leaves. For example, you can set up casual leave, earned leave, sick leave, and so on. To set up a leave type, fill in this form that you see. Give the name of the leave, the code of the leave, and how many such leaves are allowed. For example, 5 casual leaves are allowed for the employees. And do you want to carry forward these leaves to the next duration in case some of it is left? So if you want that, you can check this option. Now you can see whenever you are adding a leave type, you do not mention the validity of the leave. The validity for all the leave types that you add is common. To set up that validity, you have to go to Reset Leaves and Leave Reset Settings. So this is where you set the validity of the leaves, which is 4 months. You can give this validity in number of months. So I've given here 4 months starting this date. Also, you can enable automatic reset. That means, for example, we have just created 5 sick leaves. Now let's say after 4 months, the employees should automatically get 5 sick leaves. In that case, you should check this option. So it will be automatic reset on all the type of leaves. So they will give the maximum count of the leaves that you have set after this duration is completed automatically. If you do not want to give automatic reset, you can uncheck this and also do settings manually by resetting all, doing a department reset, or resetting leave for an individual employee. Then you can also check the attendance register of the employee. Now the employees will be able to apply for leave inside Fedena. So I log in as this employee and show you how he can apply for leave. So I'm using the username and the password, and the employee can go to academics leaves. Now he'll see this form that he can fill in. So let's say he wants to take a sick leave, and he can also take the leave for a half day, or he can mention the duration from here. Now once the leave application is created, the manager of this employee will get the leave application and he can approve it or deny it. So I'm logging in as the manager of that employee now. And this manager can check the leave application on his dashboard itself. So here he can check in the dashlet. This is the employee who has applied for leave and these are the details. Click on the name of the employee and it will take you to further details. You can approve this leave or deny it. Once this leave is approved, the HR manager will be able to view that this employee is on leave, which was approved by his manager. So when we go to employee leave management, attendance register, select the department, we'll get the list of all the employees, and this is the employee who just applied for leave and it got approved for these 2 days. The highlighted one that you see is the current date. In case the employee is not able to apply for leave by logging in into his Fedena, he can also inform the Fedena administrator directly. And Fedena administrator can mark the employee absent on the behalf of the employee, like this. We can also check the attendance report. So we'll select the department and all the employees will be listed with their employee number and the amount of leave that they have taken. We can get this for a particular duration by using this option of filtered report. Now let's see how we can generate the pay slip for the employee. So here we get an option to create payslip. Now you can generate the payslip in 2 ways. In one click or by selecting each employee. So let's see the first way, which is one click payslip generator. So when we have admitted the employee, we have entered his payroll details. If those details are unchanged, and we want to generate the payslip, this method is the easiest way to do it. You can just select the month for which you want to generate the salary and click on Go. So for all the employees, it will generate the payslip for this month, taking those details as earnings and deductions. But if you want to edit any particular payroll category or add the categories, in that case, you can select the employee. So for example, I am selecting this employee. These are the details that I entered for this employee when I admitted him. Now I get an option to edit these details or also add individual details. For example, it can be loss of pay, which is a deduction. It can be bonus, which is an earning. So like this, I can now generate the payslip for this employee for this month. Once I've generated the payslips like this, the finance department or any employee whom you have given the approval or rejection of payslip privilege will be able to approve or reject the generated payslips. So when that employee logs in, he will be able to see administration and under finance, he'll be able to see the only option payslip. This is where again he can approve the payslip in a single click. So he can approve all the generated payslips for a month in just a click. Or he can view the payslip for the employee. So he can check it for all the departments together or for a particular department, and all the pending payslips will be listed here. So he can click on view to check the details of the payslip. Here he can approve this or reject this. If he rejects it, he can mention a comment mentioning the reason of rejection. And it will go back to the HR, and the HR gets an option to edit the payslip and generate it again, which can again be approved or rejected by the finance person. Once this payslip is approved, it will also be available inside the login of this employee. So when I log in as this employee and I go to my profile, I'll see on the top right option payslip. That is where I'll select the month for which I want to see the payslip, in this case August, and I'll be getting the details as are approved by the finance department. As an HR department employee, I can also check the payslips that are generated or are pending or are approved for a particular month. For example, for a particular month, I get to see all the employees for whom the payslip was created. I can check the payslip status also to be pending or approved or rejected. I can also check the details of each payslip by clicking on View. This report, I can get it in an Excel sheet as well. Now let's see how we can mark the students absent inside Fedena. So for that, we'll go to Academics and we have Attendance. This is where I can find the attendance register. So I'll select the batch and the attendance register will come up. In case I've set subject-wise attendance, I'll also get an option to select the subject. And based on the timetable slots, only those slots will be coming up for that subject, and I can mark the student absent in those slots for that subject. Since I've selected daily, I do not get an option to select the subject here. I can also sort the students by their name or by their roll number if I've assigned it. So I can take the attendance by roll number or by the name of the student. I can call out the roll number of the student or the names and mark the student which is absent by clicking on the cell in front of his name like this. I can mention the reason for the student to be absent, and if he is absent for full day, I can check both the options or otherwise. So like this, I can mark the students absent. The students can be marked absent for the current day, which is the highlighted one, or for a previous day. In case you do not want to enter the reason every time, you can bypass that option by using this mode of rapid attendance. So in this case, you just have to click on the column, on the cell, and the students will be marked absent. We can also check the report, which is attendance report. For a particular batch, it can be monthly or overall. We can check the total number of working days since the start of the batch and how much the student has attended and hence the percentage. I can also filter this for above range, below range or equals. The other report is day-wise report. So I can check the overall strength of the institute for a particular date, which can be today or a previous date. So here I can check for grade 1, there are 3 absentees. To check further details, click on the batch and you'll get to see the absentees like this. Now let's see how you can set up timetable for the batch. So we'll go to academics and timetable. This is where the first step is to manage the class timing set. So the class timing set is the duration of set of classes. For example, grade 1 starts from 9 o'clock and ends at 5 o'clock in the evening. So we can set that class timing for grade 1. To set a class timing, you can use the default class timing that is already inside Fedena. Here you can click on view class timings and you will get an option here to add a class timing. When you click on that, this wizard will open up, which will ask you for the name of the period. So let's call it period 1 and the start time and the end time of that period. You can also rename the default to some other name, so it will be more senseful. So like this, I have created many periods. If you are creating a break, you just have to check this option of is a break. So that will denote that no teacher will be allocated in this duration. So like this, you can create multiple periods inside a class timing set. You can create many class timing sets as well. For example, default is already there. Then I've created another class timing set which is grade 1 class timing set. So if there is a class or a course which follows a different class timing set from the other classes, you can create those many different class timing sets here. After you have created the class timing sets, you can assign them to the batches. So you can click on set weekdays and class timing sets. Select the course for which you want to start creating the timetable. So this is the pre-setting now that we are doing. And here you will see that weekdays which are selected are by default from Monday to Friday. And class timing set which is assigned is default by default. So the settings that we have done in default, which is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. will be applicable from Monday to Friday for grade 1 batch. You can have different class timings for different days as well. So you can change it and give it a different class timing that you have already created. So this is how you can create different class timings and assign it to different batches. So I select the batch. By default would be assigned. I can change it and give it the one that I just created to denote that this batch will follow a different class timing. Once we have done these settings, then we can create the timetable. So this is where we define the duration of the timetable, which can be a shorter duration, for example, a week, or a longer duration, for example, the full academic year or a semester duration. You can identify this duration by understanding when all the periods will repeat. For example, if all the Mondays repeat, it means that is the duration for the timetable. If all the Mondays have the same timetable, Tuesdays have the same timetable and so on. It means you must create the timetable within that duration when they are repeating. So it can be the full academic year in case of schools. I've already created this duration which I can show in edit timetable. So I've created from 17th May 2015 to 5th May 2016, which is the academic year for the school. Now I'll click on edit timetable entries to set up the timetable. I'll select the batch and the timetable will come empty for the first time like this. And this is the class timing set that you have assigned for this batch. So just the previous setting that we have done. So it says 10 to 11 is period 1, 11 to 12 is period 2. Break will not be shown in this timetable. And the school ends at 4 p.m. for UKG. So it shows this from Monday through Friday. Now I select the subject here and the teachers associated with this subject will come up. So let's go back to HR to do the settings for this batch. So this is where we've associated the teachers with the subjects. So we'll select the batch, we'll select the subject and assign the teacher. So let's say this is the batch and we'll select the teacher like this. So for each subject, we should assign a teacher. We can also assign multiple teachers for a subject. For example, I am assigning 2 teachers here for mathematics. So once I have done this assignment, so this was the pre-setting that must be done. Let's go back to editing the timetable which we've already created. I'll select the batch and I'll select the subject now and the teachers that I've set up will come up. I'll select the slots where mathematics will happen like this and assign both the teachers to each slot or different teachers to different slots. So here I am assigning only a single teacher. Clashes are also maintained. For example, KC teacher is already having a class scheduled in another batch for a subject. So it will show you all those clashes here, which you can assign or remove or assign and retain. So right now I am cancelling them and assigning some other teacher so that there is no clashing problem. So I have assigned this teacher and let's assign like this another teacher for another subject. So this is elective subject assignment that I am doing. Again, if there is a clash, it will show like this, which you can cancel or retain or assign. So this is the way I'll be setting up the timetable for the students. So once this timetable is set up, the students of this batch, when they log in their Fedena, they'll be able to view this timetable. So they can see on Monday which all class is happening at what time and who is the teacher who is taking it. So this is how you have to set up the timetable for each batch. So I've already set up timetable for the other batches. So it shows like this. So once we've done these settings, let's see what other kind of timetable reports are available. We can view the timetable which is already created for this duration. We'll select the batch and we get to see the timetable. We can get a printout of this timetable as well. We can view the timetable of the teacher. So for a particular duration which is the academic year, all the teachers will come on the left hand side. And you can click on name of the teacher to see which all periods is she allocated to on which all dates. So you can see the details here like this. You can get this into a PDF report or a CSV report as well. You can check the work allotment. So this is where you will see the teachers that are assigned to the subject. Here as well you can do the assignment. So if you do not want to assign the teachers by using that employee subject association option, you can also do the assignment of teachers from here. Based on these assignments and based on the grade of these teachers that you have assigned to them when you admitted them, you will see the right hand side table will change. So the teachers are listed here. In front of the teacher, you will see OK, deficit or remaining. So OK denotes this teacher is taking the right number of classes as per her grade and the subjects that she is allocated to on the left hand side. Deficit would mean overworking, so taking extra amount of something. Remaining is this teacher is taking less number of periods as per what she was assigned in her grade. So accordingly, you can check from here and do the subject allocation from here. Then we can see the institute's timetable. So here for a particular date like for today, I can check which all classes are happening for a course, what timings, who is the teacher who is taking it. So this is as per the timetable that you have set up. You can also scroll it to see for the coming dates. Then you have timetable tracker. So if you want to substitute a teacher that is not available to take a slot that she was assigned to take, you can substitute from here. For example, Harsha is a teacher for English from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. for this date. So I can make the changes for any date. So I can select it for another date as well. To change the teacher, click on change. Select the department of other employee that you want to assign. So like this, and select the subject, which is generally the same subject, or you can also change the subject. So instead of Fanny, Tina is the teacher that is assigned to take mathematics from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. for tomorrow in this batch. So this is only one day change. So the allocated teacher remains Fanny. You can see this last moment changes by going to swapped timetable report, and you can check this for a particular duration. So it shows you the replacement status, and you also get to see the other details here. Then you can do classroom allocations. So the first step is to set up buildings. So you can add a building here. For example, you can give the name of the building to be any block name. And inside the building, then you can add rooms. So when you add a room, it will ask you for the name of the room and the capacity of students that room can take. So inside North Block, I have created two rooms, R1 and R2. Now I can allocate this room to the periods. So again, room allocation, like period allocation, repeats. For all the Mondays, we'll have the same room. All the Tuesdays will have the same room, and so on. So if you want that, you can select weekly, which means repeating weekly. Select the timetable duration from here, and you will get to see the details like this. So all the batches timetable will be listed here for this duration. And now you can see the highlighted green one is where you've already done the classroom allocation. So I've already done classroom allocation for grade 1 this batch. Now let's do for another batch and let's see how we can do it. So let's do for this batch UKG A 2015. So I'll select the building and I'll drag and drop the room on the period in which it will happen. So like this. So I can do the dragging and dropping like this, and also it will take care of clashes again. So I have already allocated R2 room within a particular duration for another batch. So it is giving me the clash details. I can again continue it or cancel it. The students will also be able to see the room and the building in which they have to go to when they log in their timetable. So I have to do this only once for all the weekdays, and it will repeat for this duration of the academic year. So this is how we set up the timetable. Now let's see how do we set up the examination system for the batches. So we'll go to academics, examination. Now the first step is to do the settings. So here we have to set the grading levels. Now the grading levels are the letter grades that you associate with the scores of the student. So under batch you will see common will be listed along with the other batches. So common would mean if you want to assign the same set of grades to all the batches. For example, in all the batches, you say that 90 and above is called A. In that case, you can do this setting in common instead of doing it separately in all the batches. So I'll select common from here and click on add grades, and this wizard will pop up which will ask me for the name of the grade, minimum score that denotes 90 and above in this case, and any description. So like this, I can set up the grading levels. The next setting is ranking levels. This is an optional setting that you can do. This will help you filter the list of students based on a certain criteria after their examination is over. For example, let's say you want to get a list of high performers in your institute for a particular batch. In that case, you can set up a criteria for that batch. So here, let's say I'll be calling top performers. So I've given the ranking level name to be top performer. Top performers of grade 1 will be the students who get minimum 95% marks in each of 5 subjects. So here you will see marks limit type to be lower, which denotes minimum. So we'll call it minimum 95% marks. You can also call it 95 and above, or at least 95%. Similarly, you will see the limit for subject. So again, it can be lower, which can be minimum 5 subjects, upper, maximum 5 subjects, or exactly 5 subjects. So like this, you will see I have already created some ranking levels, and they will help me get the report after the examination is over for the students. So the students who follow this criteria, I can get a report of such students. So this is an optional setting that can be done. Similarly, class designation is another optional setting that we can do for a batch. It is similar to what we have done for ranking levels, but we do not set subject limit here. So in this case, in grade 1, top performers would be the students who have scored 95 and above overall. So like this, I have created some ranges of class designations and given them names. Again, we can get a report for class designation when all the students have written the examination. Now let's see how we can create exam. So in this webinar, we are only going to see the normal grading system. So we are going to click on exam management to create an exam, and we'll select the batch for which we want to create the exam. So all the batches inside this course will be listed, and for the first time you will see that this will be empty. To create an exam, click on new. So I'll give the name of the exam. For example, I'll call it term 1. And what is the type of the exam? It means, do you only want to show grades? You want to show only marks, or both marks and grades in the final report for this term for the students can be selected from here. And then you can mention the maximum marks for each of these subjects that are listed here. So you will see when I enter the maximum marks here, it will automatically fill in this field. Now if you want to change it for a subject, you can change it like this. You can also fill in the minimum marks in the same way, and the field will get populated. You can enter the start time. It means when will examination of English happen. So we can select the date and the time from here. So I'm selecting the date and the time as well. This is important because after the examination is published, the students will be able to see when is it going to happen. So the exact date and time. So like this, I'll be selecting for all the subjects for which the examination will happen. So once we've set the dates and time, we can save this. So let's check the validation of date and time. So the end date must be greater than the start date. So like this. So now we've created the examination. And this examination is currently not visible to this batch students. Now, if we want to make it visible, which means we want to show the subjects and the timings, we can publish the exam schedule. So remember to publish the exam schedule only when you want to show this details to the students. So I'm publishing the schedule. If you have done the SMS settings, SMS will go to the students and the parents regarding the exam schedule. They will also get an internal message here that their exam schedule is published. And when they go to calendar, they'll be able to check the exam schedule. So you will see that exam schedule is denoted by blue label. And when I hover over it, on the right hand side, I get to see the details of the exam. The same view will be available to the students and the parents. So once the exam schedule is published, let's say that the students have written examination term 1. So the teachers of the student of a particular subject can enter their marks. So I can log in as English teacher. So the teacher who is associated with English subject of this batch. I can log in as that teacher and enter marks for all the students. So you will see the list of students will appear, which I can sort again by the name, by the admission number, or by the roll number. And I can enter the marks for my subject for all these students like here. I can also enter remarks based on the performance of the student, and the same will be available in their final report. If the student did not appear for the examination, check this option of absent to denote the student is absent for that examination. So like this, I can enter marks for my own subject. Similarly, other subject teachers can log in and enter marks for their subjects. So when I log in as other subject teacher, I'll not be able to see the other subjects. I'll only be able to view my own subject and enter the marks for it. So once I've entered the marks for all the subjects, administrator can publish the exam result. On publishing exam result, again the students will get a notification in the form of SMS as well as internal message, and they'll be able to check their marks inside their login. So when they log in, under the academic section, they can check their examination marks. So similarly, we'll create another exam, let's say term 2, term 3 and so on. So based on the examinations that you have, you can create multiple examinations and then you also get an option to connect them. So since we are talking about normal grading system, we can assign weightages to each term. So let's say this is term 1 and this is term 2. And here we can assign the weightage to the term. So the total weightage should be 100. All the examinations will be listed. You can make all the examinations a part of this connection or only selected examinations. Once I've connected the exam, now I can generate the report by going to Generate Reports option. Select the batch for which I have just done connection of exam and generate the report. So once the report is generated, I'll be able to view all these reports inside Report Center. So let's see a few of these reports. First one is exam-wise report. So we select the batch, we select the exam group. So this is the term 1, let's say, and we get to see the details of the marks of the students like this. So it shows the students on the left hand side and the subjects, the marks that they have obtained, percentage and remarks. It also shows the class average and the marks. We can also enter remarks, general remarks which can be given by the principal, the head teacher on his report. The same view will be available to the student when he logs in. So when he clicks on assessment 1 under his academic record, he'll be able to see the same details for assessment 1. Similarly, he can see this for the other terms, term 1, term 2 and so on. So that is exam wise. He'll also be able to see subject wise report when he logs in. So here it shows like this. So for a particular subject, the marks that the student has obtained in each assessment. And then we have grouped exam report. So this is based on the weightage that you've just assigned when you did the connection. So I've connected two terms, assessment 1 and assessment 2, and hence the combined is coming for this student. The same report will be visible in his login. So like this, you can also see other reports which is ranking the students in the batch, ranking the students in a course in the school. Also based on attendance. You can also check the transcript of the student. So this is where you select the batch and you can check the scores of the student obtained in his previous batches. For example, this student is currently in semester 6, but I can check his semester 1 details, semester 2, semester 3, 4, 5 and the current batch details. So this is the transcript as per the batch transfer that you have done. So this is all about examination. Now let's see the finance module, which is another core module. So we'll go to administration and finance. And now we can set up the fee structure here. So we'll go to fees and create fees to create the fees. Now to create the fees, we need to give the category of the fees. Category of the fees is just a name for the fees. For example, I can give fees, let's say grade 1 fees. And if there are multiple batches of grade 1 which are going to follow the same fee structure, you can check multiple batches. In this case, I only have a single batch, so I'm only selecting one batch. Now inside this fees, I can create particulars. So I'll select the fees like this, select the batch, and the particulars would be like course fee, which is also the tuition fee, and the amount. You can also create a particular for all the students like the way we are doing here. It can be only for few admission numbers or it can be for a student category. So that can be selected from here. So I'm creating for all the students this particular. So like this, I'll be creating one more particular. Let's say application fee. So like this, you can create multiple particulars here. Then you can set up discount. So you can set up discount based on the category that you've created. For example, staff child. So all the students who fall in this staff child category for that batch will get this much discount. Otherwise, you can also choose the students or you can create the discount for the full batch together. So let's say we want to choose the students. We can give the name of the discount, any meaningful name. This will appear on the receipt. We can select the category. This is the one that we created. Select the batch and all the students will be listed. Now to the students who you want to give discount, you can select them by the name like this. So you can select multiple students here and these students will be given the discount in the form of percentage of the fee or a fixed amount that you set here. So it can be percentage or a fixed amount and we are setting this discount. And the last step when we are creating fee is setting up the fine. So the students can pay fine if they are not paying the fees on time. So we can set up the fine by giving it a name. So let's say penalty. And if the student has exceeded the due date and he's exceeded 1 day after the due date, we can set up the fine amount again as a percentage of a fee or a fixed amount. So like this, we can add, let's say after 2 days, let's say the fine amount should be 100 and so on. So after 1 day, 50 will automatically get added to the receipt of the student. After 2 days, 100 would be automatically added as fine for the student. So this is how we set up the fine. Now once we have done all these settings from creation of category till generation of fine, now we will be scheduling this fee collection. So we will go to schedule fee collection dates and we'll create a fee collection. So creation of fee collection is setting up of the start date and the end date within which the fee payment should be done by the students or the parents. So here I'll select the fee category for which I want to schedule. I'll give the name of fee collection. So let's say this is installment 1. So you can take it in installments or you can take it as a full fee. So accordingly you can give it a name. You can give it installment 1, academic year fees, session fees and so on. So I am giving it a name installment 1. If you want to apply fine, if the students are not paying on time, you can select the fine that you just created and the details will appear here. You can set up now the start date of fee collection, end date of this fee collection and the due date. So the difference between end date and due date is that only after due date, the fine that you've set up will be applicable. Otherwise, you can also make the end date and due date to be same. So this is how you can create collection for a batch. Now you can create multiple collections for a particular category. Like I've just created installment 1 for this fee category. I can now also set up installment 2 and give it a different duration, maybe mid of the year. So like this, I can create multiple collections for a category of fees. But note that for each collection, the amount of particulars will remain same as you have set up when you created the particular. So if you want to take it in installments, you should give the amount accordingly when you have created the particular, which should be equal to the amount of installation. So once the fee collection is created, we can collect the fees from the students. Now the students can come to the institute with their deposit slip or if they want to pay directly. So you can take the fees by the batch, which means open the batch, search the student and take the fee. Other way is directly by the name of the student. Third way is for a particular. So let's see these one by one. Let's see fee submission by batch. So we select the batch, we select the fee collection. So this is the one that we created, installment 1. And this receipt is automatically generated as you can see. The details for the student automatically come up here. So we can see the particulars, the total fees, discount and fine if any. We can also add instant particular. For example, this student is also paying for uniform. So we can add a particular called uniform fees for this student. Similarly, stationery charges, books charges, textbook amount, we can enter all that as an instant particular. We can also add discount if you want to show that in the receipt. And the student can pay by these modes, which can be the cash, online payment using the cards, electronic cards, check payment, demand draft payment or any other payment for which you can mention the name of the payment here. This will appear in the receipt. Also for each kind of payment you will see the reference number which will come here which you can mention. You can also mention the payment note. And you can collect the fee from the student. And receipt will be generated which can be issued to the student. So it has the details regarding the payment. So like this you can collect from other students here as well. So in this case, discount is also applicable to the student since we've created discount for this student. So it shows the discount automatically here, and accordingly the fee changes. Other way of collection of fee is by searching the name of the student. Like this. So again we can select his collection, which can be the installments. So right now he is paying for installment 1. The same fee structure appear, we can collect the fee from this student. This fee can also be paid partially. For example, let me show you for another student. We can do that in any way of fee payment. So I select the student like this, and instead of this amount, I can take partial amount like this. So it will appear as a payment history. And again, he is yet to pay this much amount. So that is also shown here. So you can also take that as a partial payment. Now let's see the third way, which is particular wise payment. So we'll search the student and we'll get the fee collection and we'll see the details like this. So the student can here pay partially again and also partially for a particular. For example, the tuition fee is 890 but the student can pay 400. An application pay also he can pay partially or fully. So now we are making payment particular wise. So that can also be done. So again, if you open the receipt for the student, it will show that application fee is paid, but tuition fee is yet to be paid, which again you can take partially or fully. So this is how, and for each payment that is done, a separate receipt is generated. So this is how you collect the fee. Then you can also view the fee structure for any student. So here this is only for viewing. This will not show you the pending fees or any other details. It just shows you the fee structure. So for this student, what all details are there, what all particulars are there, discounts, fine, and so on. Then you can check the defaulters list. So this is a list of students who have not paid the fees and their due date is exceeded. So I've already created another fee collection which was over by a long period in April. So these are the students who have not paid the fees yet. So from these students you can collect the fees if they are coming to you. Just click on pay fees and it will take you to their receipt here. And you can enter the fine manually also. So you get an option to enter extra fine and add that fine to the receipt and then collect the fee. So this is how you can collect the fee from the defaulters. So the list of students who have not paid before their due date. Then you can check the fee refund. So if you want to refund a part of fees that the student has already paid, you can create a refund rule first. So if the student is leaving the institute, let's say, so you can create a refund rule, give it some name like this, and starting what date you should be able to issue refunds to the students who have paid installment 1. So you can check that from here. Then it can be in the form of percentage of the fee or as a full amount. Once you've created this refund rule, apply this refund rule to the student who has paid that fee fully and is leaving the institute. So this is that student. We can select the installment and as per the amount of refund that you have given, it will automatically come here. You can enter the other details here and refund to the student. So inside the profile of the student, He will be able to see his fee structures the way that we have seen and the refunds that are done to him for all his batches. It can be previous batch or current batch. So that note will always be there inside the login of the student, which is also visible to the parent. Then we can check some reports, student fees, headwise report. This is where we can check the batch-wise report. So we'll select the course like this and we can check all the installments. So like here I have 2 installments and how much the student has paid if any discount is applicable. So it shows the details like this. It also shows partial payment if any. So this much is the amount that is paid, this much is the amount that is yet to be paid. Then you also have fee collection wise report. So that means installment wise report. So you can select like this and you get to see only one installment that you have selected now, the particulars, discounts which are applicable to the students, how much the student has paid and how much the student is yet to pay. And the third one is by the name of the student. So you can search like this and you can check the details, what is the total paid amount, total balance and installment 1 fees which is unpaid, amount paid by the total amount due on. From here as well you can collect the fee from the student by clicking on the name of the amount and the details will come up which you can collect from here. So this is fully about the fees. Now let's see other details about finance. First, let's see what is in finance reports. So we can go to report and within a particular duration, we'll be able to see the incomes and expenses that are done. For example, I can check the salary account. So here it shows for a particular employee how much salary is approved. So whenever a salary is approved, it will automatically come up as a part of salary account. It will get added here. And when you click on this particular, it will show you the department. When you click on the department, it will show you the list of employees for whom the salary was approved. Similarly, you can check the fees amount. So here you can check the fees account. So it shows the batches for which you've collected the fee and the number of students for whom you have collected when you click on that batch. So it shows the total amount and the details inside each report as well. So this is how the report will look like for the batch. So here we'll click on the description and we'll get to see the details of the students who have paid this amount. So like this, you will be able to track all the incomes and expenses for a particular here. Now you can also add your own incomes and expenses. So it means your own category and track the incomes and expenses inside of it. To do that, you can go to finance and add a category inside it. So here I can see this option of category. This is where I can create a finance category. So I'll click on this, give the name of the category. For example, if I want to track the textbook amount, which is an income to the institute, I can check this option. Is this under income? So yes, and give the name of the category. And I can create this. So like this, I can create many categories which can be incomes if you check this option or expenses. So once I've created this category, I can add a transaction inside it. So I can add incomes or expenses as per the categories that I have created. So to add an income, I'll give the name of the income. For example, textbook collection amount for grade 1. And I can select the category that I just created. So let me create that again. So I'll go to category and create a category, call it textbooks or stationery charges, any meaningful name, and create that. So it will appear here, and now I can add an income inside it. So that amount for the textbooks which I have collected. So let's say textbooks collection 1, and I can mention that amount, and the category is textbooks, and I can mention the description. So like this, now I can add multiple amounts inside it. So it can be textbooks collection 2. So based on each day, I can add that amount here like this and mention the amount. So this income will now appear in the finance report. So if I see it for a particular duration, I can check the details here. So you will see this particular also appears here, which is custom created, and it shows the expense as well as the income. Since it is an income that we created, it shows the total income that we collected for the duration that we have selected. So when I click on this particular, I'll get to see the other details. So this is how you can manage your own categories, which can not only be incomes but expenses also. Then you can set up donations. So it means if there is a company or an organization that is donating an amount which will be income to your institute, you can add that donation by clicking on new. Enter the donor name, the details which can be the company, as I said, individual or an organization, and the amount. You can also take additional information from the donor. For example, here when you go to donation, you can add additional fields which can be contact number of the donor, donor address, and so on. So any mandatory information that is required by your institute. So I've created these fields now. So in the same way we created additional fields. And once you've created the fields, you can add a donor and you will see that additional details are also asked here. Again, this amount that you've added will appear in the finance report under donations. So if I see donations as a particular, I'll get to see that amount. Payslip is where we have approved the payslips. So we can approve in one click or individually for the employee. And then we can manage assets and liabilities. So this is keeping a record of your assets and your liabilities. So we'll go to asset and create an asset by clicking on create and click on new. So this is where you can give the name of the asset, the amount that you've spent on it, and for the first time the asset will be active automatically. When you edit it, you can also make it inactive. So I've added many assets like this, and it shows me the details here which I can get a PDF report of. So in this way I can keep a record of the assets as well as the liability separately in the liability option here. And again I can take a report of the liabilities. So this is regarding the finance option. Now let's see what is managing users. So here we will go to administration and user. So this is where I can search a user, for example an employee, and for this employee I can view and edit his profile, change the password. So changing the password will not ask the administrator for the old password. So this is like resetting the password. So you can change the password for the employee, inform to the employee can log in with that password and change again. And the third option is editing the privilege for the employee. So the privileges that you have put in when you have admitted the employee can be changed from here. So this is about managing the users, which is an employee. You can manage students as well, like this. Search the student and you can view and edit the profile and change the password. There is no option of editing privileges because students have fixed privileges. The same you can do for the parent of the student. You'll be able to change the password for the parents as well. So this is how you can manage the users. You can also get a list of users based on their role. For example, I want to see all the students for a particular batch. I get that list here. I can view the profile for any student. Similarly, I can do that for employee and the parents as well. I can also create another administrator. So in Fedena, you can have more than one administrator. To create another administrator, click on Add New. Give the username like new admin. So by default, the username would be admin. So you can give new admin, first name, last name, the password, and the email. So when this admin logs in, he will use the username to be new admin. Let's say password to be new admin 123. So he'll be able to log in. So these are the core modules that we have seen inside of Fedena.